This is for the purpose of allowing you more efficacy, more ability to stay in the moment along your path, on your journey, and allow you to have a clearer understanding of how your higher mind, your passion, and synchronicity work together to allow you to take the steps necessary for you to navigate through the different parallel versions of Earth that are more and more reflective of the version that you prefer to experience, or the versions, more precisely, that you prefer to continue to experience as you shift moment to moment to moment. The primary point of this particular transmission and title is really about learning to relax into the moment, of letting go of any insistence on the concept of a goal that you're attempting to achieve, a place you're attempting to get to, some destination out in the so-called future. Not that you will not experience the idea of outcomes and goals and destinations, but these things are experienced along the way. In other words, please remember this. Your journey, no matter how you experience it, whether in physical reality, whether in non-physical reality, your journey never ends. There is no ultimate place you are attempting to get to. If you understand that everything that's important is happening right now, nothing more important will ever happen, as you say, in the future. It will just be a different thing, equally important to whatever's going on right now. You can begin to relax into the now, into the moment, understanding that as your passions are presented to you, in terms of whatever form they come in, by synchronicity, that these experiences, the willingness to act on the things that contain more passion, more excitement, more curiosity, more attractiveness, are simply in the moment, there in that form to get you to take an action that represents the step you need to take at that moment. As we have said before, just because your excitement presents itself in a certain way, in a certain format, doesn't mean that that format always has to come to fruition. Sometimes it might, but many times it might not. At least not in the sense that that will be the next thing that manifests. Again, it may, but it may not. So the idea is to start really looking, start really connecting to the things that present themselves to you as opportunities to act on that are representative of your passion, looking at them only as a step along the way on your journey. Nothing in that sense is the ultimate goal. The only thing that is truly, if you want to call it a goal, the ultimate goal, is being yourself. And it is the synchronicity and the passion and the higher mind that allows you at every moment to be yourself by giving those things to act on that represent your true vibration, the fullness of your being. As you step from stepping stone to stepping stone on the journey, on the path that you are, it's very important to really pay attention to what is happening right here and right now in every single one of those moments, in every single one of those stepping stones, and really savor it for what it is right here, right now, as simply a step along the way. No matter how exciting it may be, never assume, never insist that that particular presentation, that particular experience has to be an ultimate thing, has to unfold in a certain way. It is nothing more than a step on the journey of you being yourself, which is really the entire point of the experience. Yes, they're presented to you in certain ways that are reflective of the personality you have created yourself to be, of the way in which you designed, so to speak, your theme, to be this person, this personality, this reflection, this aspect of all that is? Yes, of course it is. And that can make it seem as if this personality must achieve this thing in this particular way by this kind of time, or that something has gone wrong. But this exercise, this idea, and the meditation that will follow in this transmission this day is all about really relaxing off of that idea and really just allowing it to flow through you in the moment, no matter how it comes to you, no matter how exciting, how passionate you may be about something, not to lose the passion, but not to rigidize it, not to structurize it in a way that insists that it must unfold in a certain way, because you really don't know, you really do not know exactly why it came to you in the way that it did. And this is why we are explaining to you that no matter how it appears, no matter how much energy might seem to be behind it, no matter how much synchronicity there may appear to be, it is simply a step along the way on your journey of being yourself, which is really the only goal. Everything else is an expression of that goal, but are not the goals themselves. The idea of coming to fruition in anything that excites you is all well and good, and many times it will happen. But even coming to fruition in a particular way that the passion may have presented itself to you is not the ultimate goal. It is just another step along the way, another part of the overall experience of your unending journey of being yourself, of discovering yourself from a new point of view, of just existing in the moment, savoring the moment, experiencing the moment, being you as fully as you can in every moment with everything that's presented to you, no matter how it looks. Whether you prefer it or not, it's there for a reason. Use the moment. Use it up fully. Dive into it. Stay with it. Don't ignore it. Don't attempt to get beyond it. Don't rush forward trying to get somewhere else. This moment, whatever is happening in it, is the key to really experiencing the fullness of your journey, so that you are really validating and savoring every single stepping stone, every single one. For if you're not using it fully, then it's not there to support you to get to the next stepping stone. You create gaps that you cannot get past if you don't really fully appreciate what's going on at this particular moment on your journey of being you. It's very important for you to focus on the idea of being you. You may not always know what that means, but you will find out. You will discover it if you just relax into the understanding that everything that comes to you is simply just another step along the way. It's not an ultimate goal that needs to be achieved. It's not a place you have to hurry to get to. There is no clock. You're not running out of time for anything that's relevant in your life. If you stay in the moment and just experience everything that comes as another step along the journey of being you, then everything will unfold in perfect timing, and you can feel yourself going with the flow of your truth, sailing along smoothly as you go from step to step to step, knowing that every step is just another step along the way of the journey of being who you truly are. So begin to breathe and relax into this idea that there's nothing more important than the now moment, because it is the now moment and in the now moment that you will discover by your interactions with what's happening at that moment who you truly are. And that's the most important thing you can do, to really allow yourself to move through your journey, to be your journey, and know yourself more deeply, more fully, more truly, and feel the fulfillment of the reflection of all that is and all the potential within you that will unfold, yes, over time, because that's the focus you have. But you will feel the fulfillment as you go, that every single moment has been savored to its maximum, so that you know you have left nothing out, left nothing behind, ignored nothing, that you've paid attention to everything that's there, and truly absorbed everything that has been brought to you at that moment. Because there is nothing irrelevant in this moment. There's nothing irrelevant in this moment. And there's nothing irrelevant in this moment. Every single thing is the orchestration you have agreed to participate in. When we take you through the meditation, we will continue the idea of how to breathe in a more relaxed way into every moment, so that you truly begin to experience your passion, things you do prefer, things you don't prefer, interactions with others, reflections that you may get through synchronicity, everything that comes your way, messages from the higher mind, messages from spirit guides. Whatever it is that's happening, you'll be able to experience it simply more and more and more as another beautiful, orchestrated step along the way of the journey that you are.
The God essence, because it comes from within us. Would you agree?
Yes. And that's what I said, the I am that I am. But it doesn't matter what you call it.
Right. But isn't that primary for us to understand as humans, as opposed to putting it outside of us?
It is a primary understanding that will allow you to experience yourself in a much broader, greater way, but it's not absolutely essential if you have decided to experience a theme or a challenge that prevents you from understanding that in a particular life, because that can be a learning experience as well. But nevertheless, whether you learn it or not, it is the primary truth. It exists that way, whether you realize it or not. But yes, the realization of it is what allows you to grow and discover yourself from many different points of view.
Right. So let me ask you, these past 2 years that we've been sort of in this transition period with the whatever has been going on, have they been a vibrational adjustment for us to prepare for first contact?
Partly, yes. But again, a vibrational adjustment for you to be able to be more of yourselves, which is preparation for open contact, because only by being more of yourselves will you be prepared for open contact.
Now, partly what's been coming out from the government side of disclosure is that these, in this latest book called Skinwalker at the Pentagon, they talk about the paranormal element of the contact experience. And they say there's a negative aspect to these orbs that are appearing. Is there a way to turn that negative aspect around and make it a positive thing that the government is not seeing?
Yes, of course. First and foremost, by understanding that what they're saying about there being a negative aspect is false. It's their reflection, their experience of their own fear-based belief system that is allowing them to experience it as a negative aspect. But the essence of the phenomenon in and of itself is not presenting itself in a negative way. But it is calling forth from those that experience it the idea, as we have described before, of bringing their consciousness into closer contact with their own fear-based beliefs, which allows them to project upon the phenomenon the idea that it is the phenomenon that is negative, instead of facing the fact that it is their own belief system that is negative.
So when we change our beliefs, of course, you've talked about this, the not just everything else, but our relationship to first contact or contact changes.
Yes, of course.
And then, so we are in this incubation process, and is there something we need to do more of in order to activate the consciousness? Yes, follow your excitement, all that. And
why would you think there would be more than that? We have given you the formula and told you that it is a complete kit and leaves nothing relevant out. We give it to you that way and are explaining it that way so you won't have to ask, is there more? That's the full instruction manual. All you have to do is actually act on it precisely and completely, and you will understand how it works, and you will understand there doesn't need to be anything more unless you decide that you wish to add something to it for the purposes of experiencing your own self-chosen process. But beyond that, there is no more. Follow the instructions, follow the formula, and you will open all of the tools that automatically are built into it, and you will get exactly what you need, exactly when you need to get it. You don't need anything more than that. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it.
Is there a particular reason you wanted to talk about archetypes today? Is there something more than our expansion of consciousness we need to embrace with that concept?
It's about understanding yourselves as aspects, true reflections of all that is. And the next transmission, titled Mirror, Mirror, will help drive this home more deeply within you, so you can really start experiencing yourself as an aspect, as a spark of the light of all that is. So yes, we build upon different things one at a time, building them up in a way that we perceive will work for those who understand and are willing to understand these concepts and take them to heart.
Are we still on track or are things shifting as you see it, as far as first contact coming in the next 10 or 15 years?
In general, you are still on track, but again, it depends on what you decide to do in the years ahead that will shift you to different versions of Earth that may already be experiencing the idea of open contact.
Thank you, Bashar.
Good day.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar. This is Sandra from Miami, Florida. I had a dream that I would like your insights on. On September 30th, in the middle of the night, I was awakened by a sensation of like being plugged into a current of electricity, so to speak. My whole body it felt like it was vibrating, and I was perceiving a presence of an ET, a male, and I just remember being afraid to look up into his face because I was kind of afraid of being afraid, which I guess is another belief I can take a look at. And I just wanted to know what truly happened in that moment, and if that sensation of electricity or vibration was my own resistance. Any insights would be appreciated. Thank you and good day.
All right. Well, yes, the energy was your own energy, and there was some resistance, but this is what we've described before as the reason why we can't just land. There may be many extraterrestrial forms that you can interact with relatively easily, but some extraterrestrial forms, including ours, operate on a much different frequency domain than you. We come from a parallel reality that is 10 times faster than yours. And the idea of being exposed directly to our energy physically would, in fact, allow all of the different kinds of fear-based belief systems within you to be forced to the surface and can cause the idea of psychic shock. So we give you this information to allow you the process of transforming yourself and raising your frequency in a way that is safe for you to meet our frequency more easily, become more vibrationally compatible with higher frequency beings so that you can interact with them without resistance and without experiencing the idea of what you experienced and the fears you experienced in that encounter. Nevertheless, you were given enough of the difference in energy between you and a higher being, a higher frequency being, to allow you to integrate that energy within yourself, to get used to the idea that you're experiencing your own energy on a higher level, and therefore raise to that frequency, to meet that frequency, to become more vibrationally compatible with the being that you're dealing with, which is most likely a counterpart version of you in another reality that's helping you bootstrap yourself up the frequency ladder. So have fun with it. Don't be afraid. But if fear comes up, find the belief system that generates the fear. Because remember, you can't have an emotional experience without believing something to be true first. So you're given an opportunity by experiencing the fear to examine those areas in your consciousness where you have a belief that would generate the fear you experienced in that encounter. Remember, you're fundamentally an indestructible being. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing can truly annihilate you. Even though your survival mechanisms in the lower part of your brain may kick in, there is really nothing to be afraid of.
Hello.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day.
Really good. I am really excited to be communicating with you right now, and we've been in conversation for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking today about how quite some time ago connected around the idea of anima, one of your social engineers, and in a discussion of art. And I feel like the project that, maybe some seeds were planted way back when,
Always.
yes, is now coming more into bloom. And it's an interesting moment because I'm about to transition into having my time to myself to create in a way that I haven't before. So
how exciting.
It's incredibly exciting. And I've really been using, the formula to work with that, and like keeping my mind open, even as it's like twisted and turned in interesting ways. So I'm just curious if there's anything, any follow up with anima around this like art project.
All right. Are you having fun doing this, I assume?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, what else do you need to know except to keep moving forward and exercise your creative imagination?
I don't really need to know anything more, but it would be interesting to know more if there was anything specific, because I was just reflecting on
All
that.
right. Well, let me ask you the question. Why do you think that you're missing something?
I don't know that I feel like I'm missing something.
But you're asking, is there anything more? Which implies that you think something's missing.
That's a good point.
Thank
you always
you.
make really good points, Bashar. I guess I was just curious about it. If
you were missing something?
If there was more to unfold in that particular direction.
Do you feel like you're not doing enough? That you're not expressing the idea of your art as fully as you possibly could be? Are you holding back your creative imagination in one direction or another?
I think to some extent I was, but I don't think that that's going to be true going forward, because I will have more energy to dedicate to that more specifically.
Is there a particular expression that you're more excited about than any other that you haven't begun expressing yet?
Not exactly. It's more that I feel that I have to rush when I'm doing it because there were other things. Why?
Yes, why? Do you not believe in the understanding of synchronicity's perfect timing?
I do, but I still get caught up in...
Excuse me. When a person on your planet says, I do, but, that means they don't.
Fair enough. Can you understand it sometimes and not other times?
Yes, of course. Okay. But the idea is, why don't you understand it at other times? It's fine when you understand it and move forward in the way that works for you and is representative of your passion. But we don't have to talk about that. We're talking about the times when you don't stay in that vibration and what would be the reason for that. So let's go back to what you said. Why do you believe you have to rush? What's your hurry? Do you have a deadline?
Sure. I think I'm just transitioning out of that. And I guess this is that transition that a lot of us are going through, of letting go of things that we don't really need to hold on to anymore. So I think I'm at one of that, major stages right now of letting that go.
All right. Congratulations. Do you understand the paradox that sometimes you have to slow down to speed up?
Sure. Yes. That I've experienced viscerally. Yeah.
All right. Well, would you like to keep experiencing it?
Sure.
Then why choose anything else? Why choose any reason that takes you out of that state, if that's what you say you prefer to be in? Why?
I think I'm sometimes influenced by the people around me.
You are never influenced by the people around you. You take upon yourself to influence yourself based on what others may say or do, but they don't actually ever directly influence you. You influence yourself based on some reason for matching the frequency that they're offering you. So why would you do that if those frequencies are not vibrationally compatible with what you prefer?
And would that mean that empathy is that different than empathy? Or I might be just, I think...
There is a difference, because empathy and compassion can allow you to understand what a person may be experiencing for themselves, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you take that energy on yourself, that you convert your own vibrational frequency in a way that allows you to feel more than you need to understand. Empathy is more of a vibrational matching just for the purpose of understanding. Whereas, just to use another word in your language, if you overly sympathize with someone, then you may be taking on the vibration beyond what you need to simply understand them, and you may then be starting to actually match the negative frequencies that they may be giving off and experiencing some of what they're experiencing. Now, again, some people can use that to positive effect, but is that what you need to do with your art?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Art in its various forms is a mirror that allows people that are looking at the art, looking at the mirror, to see different aspects and understand different aspects of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use your experiences with other people and put it in your art, if you wish, in a way that allows people to understand the things that you are observing, the things you're understanding about your relationship to other people. But certainly you don't have to ever stop yourself by lowering your vibration to a level that doesn't necessarily represent where you prefer to be. Unless, again, you're making an art out of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still your choice.
Right.
Remember, that's your greatest power, the freedom to choose.
Right.
So, whenever you may choose something that you don't really prefer, stop, take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is the reason I'm creating, even in an artistic way, to make this choice? Do I really have a positive reason for doing this? Can I apply this in a positive way? Or do I really need to do this at all? Take the time to examine those things and find out what the reasons are for why you would choose to do what you're doing and why you would choose to experience and feel what you're feeling and experiencing, because that's the result of a belief.
You're right.
Yes, I know. That's why I said it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, thank you, Bashar. As always, I appreciate our interactions and thank you.
Did that serve you?
It did.
All right, then we thank you for your interaction. Have a good day.
You too.
Always.
Flash bulbs appearing in different portions of the sky, and they were quite large, and from my perspective, they were a little bit smaller than the size of the moon. During the next night of camping, I decided to see if I could see this phenomenon again, and I saw a very unusual bright light, and then outside of it, a smaller light blinked and then orbited around this bright light. This happened several more times over the course of an hour, and then all of a sudden those unusual lights faded away, and I saw nothing but normal stars. And then all of a sudden, those stars faded away, and I noticed that the sky was actually covered with clouds. I am absolutely astonished. I am certain that I was awake, and I was wondering if you could give me your perspective. Thanks so much, Bashar. Bye.
As many people on your planet expand their consciousness, they will begin to peer into other dimensionalities, or their senses will become more sensitized to the comings and goings of dimensional portals and other kinds of crafts that may come through them as they pass through your reality. Or you will be more sensitive to the different variations and expressions of energy that your planet gives off, seeing different portals and vortices that exist in your atmosphere. So this may be a multitude of things impinging upon your senses, seeing more multidimensionally, and being able to experience energies that express themselves that were invisible to you before.
Good day, Bashar. I'm very happy to be with you at this moment. Very exciting.
It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you as well.
Thank you. I loved listening to you about the concept of gods. And, I'm reflecting to myself, it took me about 25 years to relieve myself from the concept of God, of religion, religious, and become free to be who I am, and I am God.
Yes, everyone is.
Yes. So I wonder, in our civilization, how far as a collective are we from freeing ourselves to become the free that we should be?
Well, again, please do remember that you keep shifting collectives. You never change the world you're on. You never change the collective you're in at any given moment. You change yourself and you shift to a different version of Earth that already simultaneously exists, that contains a different collective that already believes more in the direction that you prefer. So by speaking about this in a linear way, as if it would appear that your world is changing, overall, as a general idea, not precise, general idea, over the course of the next half century, the next 50 of your years, for the most part, we'll see the greatest shift and you'll be experiencing the greatest change. But again, it's simply because you've shifted to a version of Earth that is already that way.
Yeah. As a collective, I wonder, while you say it, each of us shift into a new reality that we are aligned with.
Yes.
So does that matter as a collective, if we shift as a collective, or does it only go by individual shifts to a collective?
Both. Collectives can shift. There can be consensus agreement among many different individuals to shift in the same way, to the same level, the same frequency. So, yes.
Well, that's good news. 50 years is not bad.
No, not at all. Yeah. A blink of an eye. But again, individuals, to some degree, can sometimes shift more quickly than the collective. It just depends.
It depends by what, by how much of it I shifted?
Yes, and also whether you chose to be an example of the shift that can allow others to see you as a living example that they can shift too. So, in other words, there have to be some that are out in front to be able to act as examples for the rest to know they can shift as well.
Yeah, I got you. I understand it. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
So I live outside of the city, when we have a beautiful forest that I walk on the path. And since the last transmission that you spoke about the shells of around us,
yes.
When I walk, there's a certain area that I feel strongly the elementals.
Yes.
Present there. So since that transmission occurred, I become more aware, meaning I tuned in more. So each time I go to that location, I send my thought to them, and sometimes verbally I'll say hello, sometimes mentally I'll say hello.
Yeah.
It's funny enough that the first day that after listening to you, walking down there at a large tree, we have a very old trees in that location, shifted, and the crackling of wood sounded. And I was like, I accepted it as if a communication happened.
It was.
But then it was there, because it didn't happen after that again.
That's all right. These things will fluctuate. It's all right. Still a communication.
Is it?
Yes.
I would love that. You said when you say communication, for me, it's a communication probably in a limited way of a human communicating.
There is information in that experience. You as a human may interpret it in different ways, and you may process it to the point where the information becomes understandable at a different time. That doesn't mean it wasn't a communication. You may not know it immediately, but you will eventually understand how the communication relates to you and how to relate to it.
So you also mentioned that to do it in meditation and all of that, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm impatient.
Why? Does that mean you think there's a better place to be than where you are?
No, actually, I'm very good with where I'm at.
Except when you're impatient.
Yeah, the impatient is like, okay, I'm here. I recognize you. You're in this location. You are in everywhere, but in this location, I feel you. So I would like this.
So you have insistence.
I do, obviously. Thank you. Yeah.
Let it unfold in the way that it naturally unfolds. You have to trust that it will unfold perfectly for you. If you insist, you're actually shortchanging yourself from the perfect way it could unfold.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And by insisting, you actually make yourself incapable of hearing other forms of communication that might be coming to you.
I needed to repeat this. What did you just say to me?
By insisting on hearing the communication or having an experience in one particular way, that insistence can actually prevent you from receiving other forms of communication that might be coming to you. You won't perceive them if you insist on a particular outcome, because you don't know that that's the best outcome.
I so agree.
So you might actually miss forms of communication that would be coming to you if you insist on a particular outcome, because that may not be what works best for you.
And the only way to be open to it is not to insist and just allow.
Well, again, if you understand that your insistence is a limitation you're placing on yourself, why would you do it?
No, you're good. You're right. You're right.
I know.
Okay, thank you.
Again, it is our passion and our pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you, Bashar. Bye.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar. How are you? So I really appreciate the fact that the messages that you've been giving us have a sense of practicalness, concreteness, and consistency in it. And I think that there should be people out there that should treat these materials coming from the invisible world, the world that's beyond our senses, such as from near-death experiencers or from authentic channel beings such as yourself, to treat this information and materials as more than just philosophy, but with a more grounded practicalness. So my question to you is, if we are to study this information as a subject matter, for example, the mechanism that you described about the higher mind and physical mind interaction, things like that, how can we study it? What kind of methodology we can use? Yeah, so that's my question. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Goodbye.
Remember that first and foremost, we do say that the formula we give you is not a philosophy. It is literally a description of the mechanics, the practical mechanics energetically in consciousness of how you actually create the manifestation of your physical reality experience. So we would suggest that you begin with that. A complete understanding of the instruction manual that describes the structure, nature, and mechanics of how you use consciousness to create your physical reality experience will inform you about any other practical way to relate to any philosophical or metaphysical concept, because you will already understand the basics as a framework against which to compare and examine any other philosophical and metaphysical concept to see how it relates to that physical, mechanical, practical framework. And the things that don't match it, that don't fit in that framework, you can understand as mythological chaff, so to speak, as a misunderstanding or an outdated definition that simply isn't really representative of the actual mechanics of your consciousness. This is coming in the near future, given by the channel as the unified theory of metaphysics, providing a framework to understand metaphysical concepts as the physics of consciousness. Therefore, when you understand it all as the physics of consciousness, then you will understand how it practically applies to the creation of your physical reality.
Hi.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day.
Good day. Bashar, can I ask you, first thing is, are we still in the eye of the needle?
Yes. As I said, this will progress all the way into and through 2023 to prepare you for letting go of things that you don't need anymore, to streamline yourselves so that you can be more yourself and pass more easily through that particular energy tunnel, and prepare yourself for the beginning of the window of open contact. So yes.
Okay. So It's good to know because it seems like this year has been even more challenging. At
Yes.
least
Well,
personally.
you're in the
and-
center of it.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess just keep letting go.
Yes. Keep examining yourself. Keep investigating with honesty. Know yourself. Let go of those things that truly are vibrationally not compatible with you, that don't serve you. Be yourself more. Follow the formula more precisely, more often. That will accelerate you. That will prepare you.
Okay. And then, Bashar, I have a question. So I can do that. And how do I shift timelines to match the one that I prefer?
You're doing it all the time. Follow the formula. The formula is the rudder that you use to navigate yourself as you constantly shift billions of times per second through different versions of Earth. And with your hand firmly on the rudder, by following the formula and acting it out as precisely as possible, you are steering yourself in the direction of more and more versions of Earth that are more and more reflective of the vibration that you prefer. So you're already shifting. You don't have to learn to shift. You have to learn to steer. And the way you learn to steer is by following the formula and making it first nature to do so.
Got it. I just came back from Guam like a week ago, and it's been kind of challenging to adjust back, and I'm not sure why. Is it?
Well, because you are expanding yourself and not coming back as the self you were. You're coming back as a different self. And therefore, you have to take on the things that are now relevant for the different you, not attempt to incorporate the things that are no longer you.
Got it.
Does that help?
Yeah.
All right. Happy
Thanks,
shifting.
Bashar.
Happy shifting.
Permission slips literally stop working overnight. And I've noticed that particularly the process of wondering, the frequency of wonder, is coming online as a very simple yet absolutely powerful tool to create your preferred reality and preferred experiences. I was wondering if you could shed some light on the process of wondering and the frequency of wonder from your perspective. Thank you very much. Bye.
The frequency of wonder is the frequency of the soul, the frequency of curiosity and wonderment, amazement and beauty, is coming directly from your connection to your own soul, expressing more of the soul vibration through you physically. The idea of the change in permission slips is usually an indication of this, that you are accelerating, that you are not holding on to anything that doesn't serve you and letting it go very rapidly, that you will ultimately realize you are the permission slip, the primary one that makes the decisions about what changes to make within yourself. So this is a sign usually of an acceleration and a connection more strongly to the idea of bringing more of your soul's energy through your physical form.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day.
I'm really grateful for the chance to talk to you today.
It is our deepest appreciation to experience the co-creation of this interaction.
So, my mom committed suicide a few weeks ago.
All right.
And it's brought up a lot of questions for me about your teachings that I'd like to explore.
By all means.
So everyone tells me that there's nothing I could have done or been differently in order to help, and that it wasn't anything that I was doing that led to the creation of that manifestation.
Yes, you made an agreement. You made an agreement with each other that this might be likely to happen. But again, it's not that it had to, but certainly you are not to be blamed for anything because other people make choices.
It's that I see a lot of parallels between it and my process and my thinking and my experience. Like, I held the idea of her intention for the last few years, and she seemed to be held in suffering during that time. Yeah. And then literally like 2 days after I decided I was ready to open my heart and start to forgive her and look for a new relationship, she killed herself.
Well, now you have one. Now you have the relationship. By opening your heart, it let her know she could move on and develop a relationship with you from a higher plane. She will still make choices to allow her in some way, shape, or form to finish whatever it is she may not have completed in terms of the choices that she made, in terms of the reasons why she may have chosen that. In exploring her life review, she may realize at some point she may have to experience certain challenges that are similar again in order to go towards completeness because she made a commitment to do so. Nevertheless, the choice to transition into spirit at that time can be of great assistance to you by allowing you to develop a relationship with her higher self. By stretching to make a connection, you stretch towards spirit, and that can help you in a loving way learn more about your spiritual connections as well. So please do understand that the relationship still exists. And now she is free from whatever it is she may have been experiencing that made that seem like the only choice. She will use it to her advantage, but for right now, her focus is on making sure you use the experience to your advantage to become more of who you are, knowing that she now, from that position, loves you unconditionally and is free from all pain and suffering.
And I've had pretty good clarity on that. I've honestly experienced this as the deepest healing process of my life. It has been transforming me.
Yes.
And I think the only thing that keeps me looking backwards is this idea of responsibility. And was it, did I hold her in pain? And is it because of my process that her journey went this way?
No. She is capable of making her own decisions.
So in that vein, since we're constantly navigating different realities billions of times a second, I'm also wondering, why did I find myself in the one where this happened instead of one where she would seem to stick around longer or her life experience could play out differently?
Because of what it's going to teach you that you felt was important for you to learn. You haven't really learned it completely yet. So you're asking about an agreement you made that hasn't played completely out yet.
So I understand how it could be the perfect reflection for me and like for my process.
Yes.
But then I wonder.
Yes.
So yes, you're talking about her and how she's doing fine in spirit and she made her choice.
Yes.
But since we're continuously creating our experience of others out of different, distinct, parallel reality versions of them,
yes,
who was I in relationship with? You know, and which version of her will I be connected with in spirit?
A different version, a greater self. More of who she actually is as a reflection of the infinite.
I guess
whatever it is you need, is what you will connect to in her.
Yeah. Sorry for kind of nervously talking over you. It's
no,
like,
all right.
So I guess I'm wondering about whether or not she's real in and of herself, or
yes, of course she is. That doesn't mean you're not creating your version of it.
So if she has her own reality, how can it be that there are some where she doesn't do this and some where she does do this? You know,
because you're talking about a much higher level of the being that can experience many different things simultaneously. Right now, you're focused on what you understand as the spirit individual that represented your mother. That's the level that we're addressing right now. But on a much greater level, remembering that you are all that is, you can experience everything and anything simultaneously. It just depends on what level of the consciousness you're referring to when you talk about forming a relationship with it.
But she does have her own experience and her own choices, and she's not just a character on my screen or something.
No, you didn't make her up. The idea is everyone is a fundamental existing being, but you still create your version as an interface to relate to. That's like saying, you understand when you have a telephone conversation with a friend, you're not actually hearing their real voice? You're hearing a recreation electronically that sounds like them, but they have their own voice. It's just converted into electronic signals that are reconstituted into audio signals at your end. So it's like that. You're creating your version that you can relate to, even though she has her own reality, just as she creates her version of you, even though you have your own reality. Just like the telephone recreates the voice that isn't the original voice, but it's representative of something that is real.
Yeah, so my whole life I've been recreating her out of many possible variants to create the experience I've needed of her.
Yes, exactly. As she has done with you.
But then in spirit, where we are connected in a continuous relationship is on a higher level of like all my possibilities, all her possibilities.
Well, yes, those that are relevant for whatever level you happen to be exploring, yes.
So then would it be that like when I'm in spirit, it's kind of like my oversoul is, because sometimes you've said that when we lose someone, they don't really miss us because they're already with us in spirit. And is that like an oversoul and an oversoul together?
Well, no, it's more like the higher mind. The oversoul is something even higher. But the idea is, again, it is a more direct connection with the reality of the being. Remember that physical reality is a projection of consciousness. It's a dream. That's why you kind of have to create your version in the way that you do. Now, you're still creating your version even in spirit, but it's a closer connection to the reality of the person, the reality of the being. There's less in the way. There's less you have to recreate.
I think there's a lot I'll have to listen back to, and I might not fully understand all of this.
That's
but
all right.
I think what's been important to me is to understand that she exists in her own right, and that I didn't make this in some tragic way where it was my fault.
No, it's not your fault.
One of the thoughts that kept recurring was like that if I had had more space in my heart for her sooner, there would have been space in my world for her.
Yes, but you see, the idea of opening your heart is the point, and it didn't have to result in the idea of her choosing to stay. In fact, the idea of the opening of your heart continues in the relationship that you will be forming with her as she is now. That's the point.
Yeah, and that's what I'm reaching for, is the ability to relax into this and receive all the gifts that it offers without holding myself in blame and guilt.
Exactly. So her transition into spirit gives you a wonderful opportunity to accelerate the process of opening your heart and being more of yourself.
It's happening.
Yes. And therefore it was a very loving thing for her to do. And this was done by arrangement and agreement between the two of you.
Wonderful to connect with you. Thank you for helping me today.
And you as well. It is our passion and our pleasure to do so. Good day.
Good day.